Welcome, everyone, to another 13 Seasons podcast. Today, we are helping Brendan, who it looks like his screen is frozen. So maybe he'll appear any moment now. But I'm just saying, grooving to the music, and life is good because it's always good to be alive. And because I don't need to be worried about whether things are working or not, or anything. I'm alive and I'm experiencing something. That's great. Brendan, are you with us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
You can hear me, but you can't see me.
I cannot see you.
What's Brandon at?
I can just hear you. You were like, I see your image there and you're frozen. So I don't know if we want to just live with that or if you want to try to get that working.
I'm fine with whatever.
So for everyone listening to this podcast, Brendan's just a frozen image of himself. He's a good-looking man. But we can't hear him. And so that's the thing. And I have chia seeds in my teeth. There we go. But I think the cool thing about all of this is that this is just the way life goes, guys. Like we really uptight about wanting life to look the way we want it to look. But if you just run with it and have fun with whatever happens, it's fine. You know? So if we only get to hear Brendan today, we don't get to see his video, that's fine. You know, we can just run with that.
Yeah.
We can enjoy it. But
That's funny.
So here we go. Just making it work. Brendan, whoa, you can move. You move and stuff now. You're like a person. You're just kind of digitalized. Cool. Okay,
I'm moving.
Let's jump into this though, Brendan. First off, we're doing a life coaching session with Brendan, and he's agreed to have this life coaching session recorded for everyone to experience. And so those of you that are watching this, I think there's going to be, based on what we've talked about, I think today we're going to end up having lots of like meditation in this session and things like that. And so for those of you watching or listening, you can just follow along. And the things that we talk about do apply to Brendan. They're specific for his situation. But as you listen to them, some of the things we talk about will apply to you too. And you can do the meditations along with us, and it can help you. And when you do the meditations with us, when we trust the light and intelligence and spirit of your body knows how to adjust what we're talking about to your circumstance and adjust the meditations to you. Brendan, what I'd like to start with a really short meditation to get us in the zone. And then I'll ask you some questions for you to answer. Does that sound good?
Yeah, that sounds wonderful.
Okay. So go ahead and close your eyes. Take some deep breaths. Each time you breathe, be aware of light coming into your body. Be aware of what parts of and when you hear sounds like the do-do-do-do, just let that be a reminder to go deeper and deeper into relaxation. And let the light, pay attention to what parts of your body feel tension or just seem to be saying to you they want your attention right now. And send the light you breathe into those parts of your body. With the next breath, breathe the light into your head and let it enlighten your brain so that your thoughts are ready to receive what we talk about and do today. With the next let breath, take the light into your stomach so that your gut is ready to work with what we do today. So you can follow your gut, so to speak. The next breath, breathe light into your chest so that your heart is prepared for what we do together today. Have and just decide and ask for your heart and your brain and your belly to all become one and to work together as a system. So you can listen to your heart and your mind and your gut all at once, and they can work together as one guiding system. Invite your higher power to be a part of this experience. Open your eyes, ready to learn together. I'm noticing that since we meditated, I closed my eyes and your video was all like, and I open my eyes and your video looks very clear, like clearer than it's been this whole time. It's like our meditation made your video clear. Just like we got rid of all the barriers.
It's kind of like how life goes.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes we're so busy trying to solve problems that we don't realize that the best thing we can do is to just slow down and go inward and find peace in ourselves. And then the things outside of us just take care of themselves. We think we don't have time for that when doing that is actually the solution to all the things that make it, that are like our problems that make us think we don't have time for things, right?
Yeah. It's a good reminder.
It's a good reminder to me too. That actually just clicked for me with something I've been worried about in my own life. So there we go.
Me too. That's awesome.
There you go. Okay, Brendan, first I want to ask you about your beliefs, because when I do life coaching with people, it looks different for everyone based on their needs and their beliefs. And I want to customize what we talk about to the way you see the world and the way you understand spirituality and your philosophies. I want to meet you. So tell us just a little bit. And actually, I already know a lot of this about you because we've worked together before. But for the sake of people listening, tell us a little bit about your belief systems.
Okay. So for everybody watching, and you, Josh, I feel like my whole life I grew up LDS in the LDS church. Big follower of like Jesus, and I feel like lately the more I've grown up, I've become a lot more spiritual. I've become a lot more open to new ideas, and it's just made me a much more open person. But like I still have found joy in the aspects that I have learned, and I've had some religious hardships which have made it a bit harder for me in some aspects in the religion I grew up in, but I still do love aspects of it. And I'm very into like consciousness and like meditation and spirituality and like crystals, just all the fun stuff. And I've had a lot of spiritual encounters with a lot of spiritual friends. One of those I would consider, he calls himself Jesus, so I call him Jesus, and he's very kind to me. That's just from my experience. Not everybody has had my experience. That's okay. And not everybody has to agree with me, but that's just what I've gone through. And so I feel like I've just kind of gone the more spiritual route, but I'm still like I still find value in like religions and stuff, but everybody's different.
So if I understand you correctly, you grew up LDS, Latter-day Saint, Mormon, Church of Jesus Christ, Latter-day Saints, whichever name you want to use.
Mm-hmm.
You grew up doing that, but it was like a religious experience for you, not so much a spiritual experience, or maybe it was both.
Exactly.
It was
yeah.
both,
when I was younger, it was more. Yeah, when I was younger, it was more religious, but then I was like, there were just so many hardships, so I started going inside. I started just like, instead of going by the book, I started like feeling how I felt and like asking, and I don't know. I don't feel like I'm as dependent on religion as I am just spiritual, if that makes sense. But
yeah,
I still value that kind of stuff.
So your upbringing in that religion gave you like your underpinnings of your like understanding of how everything works. but then you've built on that with your own spiritual experiences into something that's sort of like built to you personally, not necessarily like just following the religious like way. And that personal thing involves lots of crystals, involves meditation, involves a being who you identify as Jesus. Does that sum it up pretty well?
Yeah, that's pretty good. And just like universal stuff. Sometimes I'll like talk to my friend Jesus, or I always call him a friend. I don't like worship. I don't know. It's this interesting thing. But or sometimes I say thank you universe, or just different things like that.
Okay.
I don't know.
So you can use the word universe or Jesus or God or friend all interchangeably.
Exactly. Yeah, that's how I've been doing this ever since I was a kid. I'm very much like I don't like to listen to what other people say. I just go by my own experience, and that's just how I've been. So
great. And I really encourage you as we talk right now to do that, right? To like listen to your own experience and everything we talk about, like, filter it through how how to tell what's true for you and what works for you, right? Like filter it through that. And I might say something that I'm doing my best within my framework to articulate something to you, but if when it gets to you, if your spirit moves you to receive that a little differently than the way I said it, just run with that and follow your intuition. So
we could do that.
I encourage everyone at home watching to do that too, because I'll share my screen real quick. And this is why. So if I share my screen, we'll see why. I shared it successfully. I want to switch to this other background. So in 13 seasons, right, we have these 13 virtues that we talk about, right? And they're right here on the website. And these virtues sum up for like, we really believe these virtues like sum up like everything there is to be like a whole good, like a whole, to be a person who's whole and has every good thing. These sum that all up at once, right? And one of the virtues is this communicate effectively. And part of communicating effectively, when you communicate effectively, there's the content of what someone says, right? There's also the context in which it's said. So everything that I'm talking to you about today is being said in the context of what I know of what I know of you, right? And it's also being said in the context of my experience, right? Like I'm trying to adapt things to make sense to you, but it's also coming when I'm talking about, the things we're talking about are from the universe. They're from God. They're from light. They're from Jesus. They're from the friend, right? But they come through me and through my bias and my life experience. So who I am is a context that affects how it comes out, and who you are as a context too, because I'm trying to adapt it to you. But everyone listening comes with their own context, right? So if you're listening to this and your context, and when we talk about Jesus, say, because that name means something to Brendan, but maybe your life experience is such that the word Jesus is triggering for you, right? Maybe you've had bad experiences with people that use the name Jesus to talk about stuff. And if that's the case, then I invite everyone watching this to just, in their head, replace Jesus, whatever word makes you comfortable. Replace it with God or Allah or the universe or source with a capital S or higher power or collective consciousness or just goodness, whatever works for you, replace it. Use context to adapt what we're talking about for you.
I love that.
I
feel like that's so important. That's just for me, especially just because like I've had so many experiences, especially with the communication season. Like anytime I tried to live that season effectively. Like I've just noticed that I take things more with the context, and it's just been so much more helpful. Like I'm a lot less reactive, and I'm more of the observer, and I'm able to communicate better because of that. And it's not always easy, and it helps me have compassion for those who are hurting, so I feel like that's a beautiful thing you just said. So thank you.
So I hear you saying that sometimes there's been times in your life when you've been so focused on wanting to get the content of what you want to say to people through that you don't consider the context of who they are.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you're,
especially when I was younger?
Yeah.
Especially when I was younger, yes.
Yeah. But if you interact with people in a way where you're trying to understand the context of who they are and not just trying to get your message through, then you like really connect with people. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's exactly what I love that. Yeah. You described that
Cool.
perfectly well back to me.
I love virtue. It has the answers for
Me
everything.
too.
Well, let's talk about, you have something we decided to go on today because you have some things you're trying to work on. Can you just describe them to us now, and just I want you to feel free to be open and honest and communicate this in the context that makes sense to you. So just if you can just describe to us, you know, like what your experience that you want help with.
Okay. Let me think. How can I communicate effectively? So I feel like growing up, there was a lot of, I had all kinds of friends, but growing up, I had some friends who would like, I would just have a lot of fears because of the things they would teach me and tell me, and or fears on how I was, or fears based on how I was raised. So like if I wanted to know something and someone wouldn't tell me, I'd have trust issues, or certain things like that, and so that would lead to me having fears like the Truman Show, if you know what that is, like where you're like the main character and everybody's lying to you. You know what I mean? Or just like big existential fears. And I feel like lately, as I've been growing up, I just got married to a lovely, beautiful wife, and it's been so much fun. But trying to figure out how to afford everything, how to find a job that I like, you know, how to. I've always wanted to build a community, like a gardening community of some sort, just because I love community and these virtues and stuff. But I feel like now that I'm grown up, all of these fears, all these feelings, all of these crazy existential things that I got from being a child, you know, not knowing anything, have just been coming up. And I feel like since I'm a spiritual person, I can feel like my ancestors also coming up right now. And I'm like, this is wonderful. And it's making it a lot harder, you know. And I'm trying to figure out how to deal with all of these fears or beings or ancestors that are coming up through me that are making it harder, but I feel like it's also the best opportunity for them to come up to be felt, because any other time would be harder for them, if that makes sense. I'm not sure if that's
Can I repeat back to you? I skipped over my words. Can I repeat back to you what I'm hearing you say?
Yeah.
So I hear you say that when you were a kid, you struggled with fears. Like there were just lots of like weird paranoia fears that would come up. Like even fears like what if, like fears that you live in the Truman Show, or fears that everyone, what if
exactly.
you were suspicious of people? What if everyone's lying to me? Like everyone in the world's lying to me? Like we had lots of suspicions of people, lots of fear. You grew up with tons of, like, you were haunted by this like fear that's like doesn't make any sense, right? Like paranoia is what I hear. Look, and what I see you do is the second I say that, I see your hand goes here, and I know that you and I both are familiar with, like, this is like tap feelings. Just me mentioning it is bringing up the feelings for you, and so you're feeling instinct to process them, right?
That's crazy.
What I hear you say also is that you're at a new era of life. You just got married. You feel a lot of new openings available to you. You feel like you're at an era where you can like start to move on to some new exciting things. But you feel like all those fears you had as a kid are still there, holding you back from moving on to these new exciting things. And I also hear you say that the fears aren't just yours. Like you can sense that your ancestors had lots of fear, that they died without resolving, and that fear is still inside you because they never resolved it. So it got passed on to you, and that your ancestors want to let go of their fears, and that you feel like it's your mission now to let your ancestors let go of their fears in your body, and also let go of your fears in your body. And then to open so that your system is open and free without fear to do whatever exciting things are about to open up for you at this new phase of life. Is that accurate?
That is accurate. That's beautiful. I also feel like,
oh yeah, go on.
So I also feel like another fear, that a thing that just keeps coming up for some reason today, especially, I don't know why, but like I keep feeling like it's something that I just noticed today. and it's been coming up a lot lately, just today at least. It feels like I feel like guilt or like some shame that's been holding me back. Because like when I was a kid, I got a lot of like my self-esteem from like the things I could create, you know? And I felt like if I wasn't creating something, I wasn't being loved, if that makes sense.
Ah,
And it was almost like a safety mechanism for me. So I'd like create things to feel loved. And so like growing up, I started realizing this a little bit more. So, and I'm huge into visual effects. I love visual effects and all this stuff, just for anybody who's watching. And but I noticed like in high school or anytime after high school, I went to a film school with Josh. He was my teacher. He's a great teacher. But I noticed that sometimes I'd like start a project and I'd be like, yeah, I can totally help somebody with this project. And then I would be like, oh, but I'm not loved if I don't do it. So a part of my body would be like, we're just not gonna do it. We're just gonna like procrastinate this thing, you know? So just to tell you that you're loved no matter what, you know? But then it
oh,
got in the way
interesting.
of the project. Yeah. And so and I guess the guilt part that's coming up is all the people that I said like I'll help you and then I wasn't able to help them, you know. And I just
Yeah,
feel bad for those people. Like I feel empathy or
yeah.
sympathy, you know.
So
And
you're
I'm
saying
feeling
that,
like their sadness
yeah. So you felt like you
and
had to earn
frustration.
love instead of just being loved just because you're Brandon, and you had
A
to
little
earn
bit.
love by making cool things that people thought was impressive, and people be like, "Whoa, you made a cool thing," and then you felt loved, right? So I feel
Just
like you had to
partially, yeah.
earn that. Like that's how like you had to say you had to make something you to say, "Hey everyone, love me please," and they'd go, "Oh okay, I love you," you know.
hmm
So you felt like you had to earn that, and then so you did it that way, but then but then some instinctually you knew that isn't the best. Like instinctually, some as you got older, you knew that you part of you craved to be loved without needing to earn it. And so you
Mm.
started part of you started feeling a little bit started rebelling against the way things were. And so you started
It's
like
like
flaking out
sabotaging.
on purpose to see if they'd still love you.
Mm.
But then that hurts the relationship because because you're not falling for them.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and
Exactly.
here's the thing. I mean, I recorded a YouTube short about this yesterday, and it'll come out soon. But so this might be I'll tell this story and then you'll hear it again if you follow the channel. But this week I had an experience, or it was last week. I had an experience. You know, I part of what I do with part of my time is I teach high school, and I was at a high school, and there was a girl in my class who was using a computer, and the computer would boot up, and instead of booting up into like the use like the way it should, it would boot into like the back end system with all the numbers and graphs and stuff, right? And it kept booting up that way. And then she would turn it off and then do it again. And it happened again over and over and over. And she and I were getting really frustrated. And and I'd go over there and help her and then leave and come back, leave and come back. Then I'm like, all right, I'm going to stand here and just keep watching, not walk away. So I stood with her and I watched her do it. And when it was booting up, it had a thing that said, press F3, hold F3, access the system. And so she just saw hold F3 and pushed F3, right? And she's like, I'm holding F3 every time and it keeps happening. And
Mm.
so she wasn't reading the whole sentence, right? And so like she just saw hold F3 and she held F3. And so she was getting exactly what she was asking it to do. The computer said, hold F3 if you want me to do this. She held F3 and it did it, but she wanted it to do something else. And so she was misunderstanding, right? And so she was just
Oh.
she was trying to hold F3 to get the computer to do what she wanted. But holding F3 got the computer to do what she didn't want, and she misunderstood. So she was
Oh,
she was
interesting.
mad at the computer, but the computer was doing exactly what she told it to do, right? And then I came along and said, "Hey, do it again, but don't hold F3." I gave her better information. I clarified some things for her. Mentors are good for that, and the computer opened just fine.
Mm.
I saw you have an aha moment. What did you learn from that story?
Mm. Sometimes we sabotage ourselves because we
Yeah,
don't see the full picture. And it's good to have somebody else who can also help. It's like it's helpful to have somebody who can help you be more introspective. Like, I've always viewed myself as an introspective person spiritually, but like it helps when you get another introspective person who's also trying to figure things out in life, and they can see things that you can't always see. You know, it's good to pause and to figure out if it's not working. Let's pause and let's just like think about this for a second, and like ask for help. It's not a problem to ask for help. You know,
Yeah. And here you are right now.
it's not.
That's what we're doing,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And I just want to say, Brandon, that you're a beautiful person.
Hmm.
Like, as you were talking right now, I was listening to you. I remembered to not just listen to your words and also to not think about what I might say in response. So not think about what I'm going to say in response, but also not and listen to your words, but beyond listening to your words, listen to your words while being aware of your presence, just being aware of who you are and just aware of you as a human being talking to me. And when I did so,
Hmm.
I had this powerful sense of like who Brandon is. And I had a powerful sense of like your nature in a way where if I were to put words on it, it would like cheapen it, right? And as I
Hmm.
felt
Hmm.
that powerful sense of your nature and who you are deep down, well, deep down and on the surface, who you are everywhere. As I sensed
Thank
that,
you.
I was like, Brendan's beautiful. And
Hmm.
it's just a pleasure. It wasn't like this earthly egotistical like thing we do where it's like, whoa, I realized Brendan's really awesome, like more awesome than others or something like that. It wasn't like that. It was just like Brendan just is, and this is who Brendan is. And I sensed it and I knew it. And I was like, Brendan is beautiful. And I just love
That's
that I
beautiful.
friend.
Oh, I'm
And
glad. I'm glad to have you in my life.
you're welcome. And you don't have to do or be anything else to just be that. You're great, exactly as the way you are now.
Hmm. Thank you, Josh.
I want you to close your eyes and take a deep breath and breathe in that truth. Just breathe in saying, I am enough, perfect, exactly the way I am right now.
Sometimes I have that fear. Like sometimes I feel like, am I? Like I just like, and
Mhm.
maybe that's my ancestors coming through. They're like, my ancestors are
Yeah.
like, are you what you want to be? Are you? Do you like who you are in all that you are? You know, and like that's like a fear that I keep feeling come up. You know, like, are you sure you like you? It's just fascinating. You know,
Yeah.
and it's just that's just a recent thing. It's like the second I've got to start doing stuff with my life, you know, in positive ways. Like all these new things come up, and like so that's really beautiful to think about, you know, and to meditate on because that is one of the things that keeps coming up every now and then.
I like that you said you expressed the idea that it's something you're curious about. And and I think that's really good. It's really helpful to be that way. Like we're about to start working, doing some serious work to help you make a shift with these fears and let go of them. But you don't need to let go of the fears to become good, to become worthy, to become respected, to become loved. You don't need to let go of the fears to love yourself or to be a being worthy of love.
Hmm.
You just are that automatically. And you let go of the fears because it's a cool experience to have and because it helps you and it helps others. Like I think we have to heal. We think we have to heal or become good or grow in virtue or something like that to give ourselves permission to love ourselves. You can flip that on its head and say, I love myself just the way I am now. And I
Hmm.
want to grow in virtue. I want to become good. I want to heal. I want to help others, not because I need to have permission to love myself, but just because I love myself so much, I want to give myself that gift.
It's like the need versus wanting. That kind
Yes.
of like I don't need it, but I can like have a yearnity to grow, but also like feel enough in the meantime while I'm doing the growing. You know.
Yes.
kind of like a baby. That baby's enough, but it can still grow. But it is enough. It's like the most beautiful thing in creation. You know.
Yes.
Oh, that's
Yes.
awesome. I love that.
So let's
Thank you.
let's see what we can do with these fears. Give me a sec just to like be really present with you and see what we can do.
My back's been hurting a lot. I wonder if my fears have been causing my back to hurt.
Maybe that you might be carrying that fear in your back, and so it puts tension there. All right, so look at me right now, because I'm gonna have you follow along with what I'm doing. So we're gonna tap at different points of the body, and while we tap, I'm gonna say things out loud to give voice to what I'm sensing inside, to give voice to things you told me, and also voice to what I'm sensing inside you. And when I tap on different points of the body, I want you to tap at the same points I tap. And I want you to repeat after me and say the same things I say. And you're saying them to bring up those feelings and those beliefs. And then while you tap in those spots, it helps you process and let go of those things. So we're going to start right here.
Wait, this side or which
it doesn't
hand?
matter.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought I do the same thing. So just pick one and be consistent, and that'll be great. Okay, repeat after me. Releasing.
Releasing.
I am afraid.
I am afraid.
I'm a child who's afraid of everyone.
I'm a child who is afraid of everyone.
Let yourself like inhabit that space. Let yourself feel yourself being that child right now. And just call up the feelings of fear you felt then, and just keep tapping here while you feel that. Let yourself really feel it all the way. And I'm sensing as you do this, that those fears you had as a child overlap or are at the same frequency as some fears that at least one of your ancestors had. And so that experience as a child might have been uncomfortable. It might not have been something you liked going through. But what it did is it let you experience fear at the same frequency as your ancestor who didn't resolve it. And so because you have that same fear your ancestor had, you're eligible to help your ancestor with it by proxy. So you can feel some gratitude that you went through that so you can help your ancestor.
I love that. That feels true.
I'm so glad. Breathe in here. I don't know about you. I'm feeling like my arm is becoming really heavy as I do this, which is interesting because I've done this before. My arm never doesn't feel this way. So I don't know what that heaviness is. It might just be the heaviness of the fear. No need to resist the fear. Just let it be. It's not an enemy you have to fight. It's a friend you're helping. I think it just shifted. Did you feel that? I don't know if you did. It doesn't matter if you did or not, but I felt a shift right then. Okay, another wave's coming of these feelings. I'm feeling like there's some specific, I don't know who they were, but there's some specific people you knew as a kid who you specifically felt some of these feelings towards. And it's important to like specifically think of those relationships with those specific people. I think there were other kids around your age, and be aware of those relationships and let yourself just feel the feelings of those moments. And keep breathing through it.
Yep.
Let the feelings come into you
For
like
sure.
a river. What's that?
For sure. There is a lot of that. That's interesting.
Good. Yeah, let the feelings flow into you like a river and flow out of you like a river. No need to put up a dam or resist them. They just flow in and out. And the tapping on acupuncture points, which is what we're doing, facilitates the flow. It helps the flow just go.
Interesting. Wonder by here. Because I can.
And for those listening to the podcast, we're tapping, those who can't see, we're tapping on the head, like on the forehead, but off to the side of the center of the forehead, above the eyebrow. One of the softer spots there.
Oh my gosh. I think I've been feeling one of my friends' emotions ever since I was a kid. Like they've had this deep fear of the whole universe, and I've been like feeling it for them, like my whole life. This is kind of what it feels like.
That makes sense. So if you're go on, keep talking.
It's like I've been there to ease their fears. Like that's kind of what my role was as a kid.
Mm. Does that role serve you now?
Nope.
Yeah, so let go of it. You can stop having that role now.
Oh, interesting.
You can just breathe out, breathe in, and then just breathe the role out. Let it go out with your breath.
But yeah, I think I've been doing that for them. That's interesting. I never really recognized.
I'm so glad you can recognize that right now.
Because I've always been very compassionate as a kid, but I feel like that also led me to this situation, which is okay.
Okay, let's take a break. Unless you want to keep going, unless you feel like you really want to keep doing that for a little bit longer.
We're good.
I want to review a principle real quick. I'm going to bring up something on the screen here for us. So I'll describe what we're talking about here for those listening. So on the 13season.org, it has lots of different virtues listed here, right? And one of them is act with balance. So if we click here, we can go to act with balance. And when it comes to acting with balance, acting with balance has 6 principles, and the 6 principles are in pairs. So the principle in the pairs are create balance, right? So one principle is work hard, one's rest and renew. You want to find a balance between those two in your life. Work hard and rest and renew. Find a balance, right? Another pair is take risks and play it safe. It's about finding a balance between those two things. If you take too many risks, you're going to get hurt unnecessarily. If you play it safe too much, you'll miss out on opportunities that you don't take because you don't take risks to just have those opportunities. Another is going outward and going inward, right? If we never go outward, we get kind of selfish and lonely. If we never go inward, we get burnt out and we don't take care of ourselves. And so these pairs create a sense of balance. And right, these 13 virtues that we talk about each correspond to a season of the year. So if you divide the year into 13 parts and 28-day segments at different times of the year, it's better to work on certain seasons. And when you work on the appropriate season, the appropriate time of year, it's easier because all of nature is in that phase right then. And so when you work on that set of virtues during the time of year, you're in tune with nature. And so you can grow more quickly. You're growing with the current instead of against it. And what you just described when you said I have the gift to, you said something like I have the gift to be compassionate and to be there for people and to have empathy towards them, right? You described going outward, right? You said going outward and being there for others. And then you said, but I have to balance that. You said something to the effect, I would balance that with taking care of myself. And that's going inward. And so that's an example of that balance. And the at different times of our lives, at different times of our lives, or different days of the week, or different hours of the day, the balance shifts, right? How outward or inward is better. And we figure it out as we go through life, through experimentation and through listening to ourselves and listening to our intuition and listening to your friend. Through doing those things, your friend Jesus, that's what through doing those things. We just gradually figure this out, and we just and through experimentation we find the balance, right? Sometimes by trying to go outward too much, and then we learn, and we're glad that happened, right? So this whole time you've been going outward to your friend for all these years, and a piece of you has been holding a piece of your emotion, a part of your emotions have been holding on to their emotions all these years because you want to help your friend. You're still doing it now.
Yeah.
We were until just a moment ago. I think you just stopped. You stopped going outward in that way. And that was good for you.
I could feel a shift. That's crazy. Interesting.
Yeah. And at the time it might have been different. Maybe at the time, this is for you to decide for yourself. I don't know. But maybe at the time when you were that age, like during like that interaction with your friend, it was good for you to hold that with your friend. Maybe it helped them in their journey at that time. It's just, but then later on, it was time for it to shift. And you didn't make that shift until now, when it probably would have been good to do it sooner. And that's fine because you learn from it.
Exactly. It's not about perfection. It's just about enjoying your day to day.
Yes. Yes. Okay. You ready to keep working on stuff?
Yeah, it's good.
All right.
You're awesome.
I'm paying attention to your presence and wondering what to do next. Okay. Become really aware of your chest area. And in your chest, I want you to be aware of people in your chest, like the image of people inside your chest. And these people are members of your family. Also included in the people in your chest, see yourself at a younger age, and see some interactions you had with your family. Like watch it like there was a television installed in your house, right? Like you're like a third person watching it happen. You're not going through it, you're observing it, right? And see yourself there with your family. You can close your eyes or open them, it doesn't matter. But see yourself there with your family. Notice how old you were when this happened. Notice what happened with your family that day. Let yourself feel the feelings of little Brendan when it happened. You're not little Brendan anymore. You're adult. You have all the gifts and maturity of adulthood. And so you can hold little Brendan up and be there for him during that experience. Feel his feelings with him and hold him up in it with your maturity. How was that?
I love that. That was beautiful.
Good. And anyone listening or watching this at home, who knows what this might trigger for you. Like you're not Brendan, but you can still do the same exercises, but you might, be aware of a different event. It's a little different than what we're describing. Just like everyone watching this at home, you are powerful creators. You have powerful gifts, and you can personalize this to your context, and it will work great. Like Brendan and I trust you. I speak for me. Do you trust them, Brendan?
I do.
Good. Okay. Now, next thing. Okay, so I want you to do. Okay, when you put your hand right here, like over your head like this, and we're gonna trace. You're gonna trace your hand across your head, back of your neck, as firmly or as loosely as you inclined. All the way to the back of your neck. And that what that does is in these meridian lines that are connected to acupuncture points and things, right? Like this is a point you can tap. That's tap point. Those meridian lines that go throughout your body. They're connected to acupuncture points. A bunch of them pass all through your head. And if you take your hand and you go all the way along here, you make contact with every single one of them. And so the meridian lines that pass all through your body and are connected everywhere, all go through there at some point. And so by doing this, it's a way to just reset all of them. So now that you like experience some healing through tapping and through the visualization, then we did a little reset. We reset your body into that new state.
That was interesting. I just did that, and a lot of my back pain went away. It was just really, it was just fascinating.
Yeah, because as you went over there with the new emotional state you've created through what we've done so far, as you did this, one of the meridians you went over connects to your back. And so it was able to reset into your new state and then help your back pain.
That's beautiful. Interesting. Fascinating. Interesting.
Okay. Let's see what's next.
Can't hear you. His audio went out. Oh no. Strange. We can do this. Yes, we can.
Hello. Hello?
I can hear you.
Yeah, we're just having technical things here. That's fine. It's just life, you know? We just keep going and things get weird and it's fine.
Right.
I have a different camera on me now, so I'm like awkwardly, you're like awkwardly looking down at me from this funny angle. Let me see if I can fix that.
No worries. No, you're doing just fine.
And if we can't fix it, it'll be fine.
Positive self-talk. I love it.
Yeah.
If you do it enough, it just becomes a habit.
Just plugging some things in differently than they were. There we go. Oops. We might end up just looking at me from a different angle, maybe. Oh, there we go. Okay, everything's back.
Hallelujah!
Yeah. And that's just, you know, when things like that happen, we're like, oh, everything's going wrong. We can get all upset about it, or we can, you know, just take care of it. So here's too often our attitude about a problem is way bigger than the problem itself. That's an important lesson to live by.
That's beautiful.
All right. I want to talk about your friend
Mm-hmm.
Jesus.
Hmm.
I'm really feeling that for the next step of your healing today, that we're gonna need the help of your friend Jesus.
Okay. Let's do it.
I want you to close your eyes and imagine like Jesus is standing behind you. He's your friend. You know him well. Be aware of his presence. And see like he's standing behind you, and then he puts his arms around you, like forward around you. So that they come like over the backs of your shoulders around, like someone comes up behind you and then gives you a hug from behind. That's what he's doing. And his hands are on your chest because of the way he's hugging you. And feel him fill your chest with green, warm, nice light, and heal that part of you that was wounded by that experience you had and by the fear that you felt. Breathe and let your whole chest be full of the green light he wants to give you. Let the light of let that light move to other parts of your body and take on other colors as your whole body gets filled with the light he has to offer you. Light may come into contact with dark areas that don't, dark areas that are opposed to light, parts of you that don't like the light. When that happens, that's okay. Just talk to the dark area when you perceive it. Ask it what it needs to be well. And then send light to that need. Light is intelligent. The light knows how to help. Just let the intelligence, just find out what it needs, and then let the light heal that. Anyone that's listening, while Brandon does this, anyone that's listening to this or watching this from home, from wherever you are, you may not be at home, I guess. You could be driving or something. I don't know. If you are driving, be careful about this. By the way, don't close your eyes to do this. Like pay attention to the road. Anyone that's experiencing this, that's not Brendan and I, just know and trust that you can do this. You can heal. You have what's needed inside you to heal from whatever your thing is. And just because you've never been able to heal before doesn't mean you can't now. Because right now, as you watch this, you're learning new tools you didn't have before. You couldn't heal before because you didn't have the right tools. And now you do. Just be aware of the parts of yourself that just stand out to you as needing healing right now. Look at them. Don't try to force them to change. Just accept them as they are. Ask them what they need. And then trust, and then just see, visualize light going to that area and giving it what it needs. In fact, just being aware of what it needs does most work. Trauma is not the result of traumatic experience. Trauma is the result of a traumatic experience without an empathetic witness. Now you can be the empathetic witness to the part of you that is traumatized. You can be that witness. This part of you might be from an earlier part of your life, and the adult you is strong and mature and can be a witness for that younger you. This trauma might belong to your ancestor, and you can be the witness for them. And just being the empathetic witness, the one that says, I hear you, I feel your feelings, I know what you want and need. Just being that person does most of the work. And light is intelligence, and light can do the rest of the work along with love.
Mm. I'm feeling that I should just have more love. Like, I should just try to practice having more love in those hard parts of my life, in those hard feelings. Just try to love it instead of fight it.
Listen to that. That's good advice. And it's a lot more fun. Like, the only reason why anything in life is unpleasant is because we resist it. It's resisting things that's unpleasant. So even like sadness and sorrow, pain, don't necessarily have to be bad experiences if we're not resisting them. They won't be the same as like happiness or relaxation. They won't be the same as those things. They don't have to be negative if we don't label them as something to resist. They can just be what they are. Brendan, go right here. If you see my hand. And just go like this. Tap behind the ear right here. As you keep going. Yeah, keep doing what you're doing, but do that while you do it. You're putting your hand just behind your right ear, and you're just tapping that kind of like solid bone area behind the ear. Yeah, tap there while you keep going. Let whatever you're feeling flow into you like a river and out of you like a river. Let your body be soft and flexible so things can come in and out without resistance, and feel them.
This is a great season to be in, to be doing this. The act of balance, I feel like, because you want to be able to feel things, your emotions, but you don't want to like act out. You don't want to like hurt others. So it's like going inward and out. So that's just fascinating, because if you don't feel the emotions, then they just pile up inside of you. But some people, I feel like, or for me, example, I don't allow myself to feel things all the way, because I'm like, if I allow myself to feel a certain way, then I'll hurt somebody by accident. But it's just all about that balance.
That's really good. That's kind of like the inward outward thing, right? If we're too outward, then we're focused too much on the not hurting people part, right? So we need to go inward enough to recognize to recognize our own needs and recognize that we need to feel it, right? But if we're too focused on the outward, we're like, well, I can't feel it because I might hurt someone, right? But if we go too inward, we're gonna be like, I'm just gonna feel this and do whatever, and we don't consider others. So we're not considering the outward. right? So if you balance the inward and outward, then you do what you need to for yourself. You go inward by doing what you need for yourself to feel it, but you balance that with outward by doing it in a way that doesn't hurt anyone. Like right now, you're getting to feel this all, but you're not doing it that hurts anyone, right? Like
Yeah, exactly.
life when you were feeling the same things you're feeling now, and you just like punched someone or yelled at them or something, right? And so you were trying to express emotions pent up inside you, but you were doing it in a way that was hurt people. You weren't regarding anyone else. You weren't going outward. But right now we're in a safe place. You're not hurting anyone. You don't feel it all.
That's beautiful. I love that. That's interesting. There's like a fear that I'm recognizing. It's like this idea that like I recognize that like it's the resisting thing that makes things bad, but then also I fear that if I believe in that thought, then that I won't resist hurting others. So like, I'm like, it's just fascinating. It's like you need to resist stuff, Brendan, but that's also the thing that's also causing me pain and lots of hardships that I don't necessarily need, but that are there. They're not bad, but
just a matter of taking each principle and applying it to the correct thing. When you apply, it's all true principles, but when you apply a certain principle to the wrong thing, then it gets you all mixed up. But when you apply the right principles to the right things, then you're good.
That's fascinating. How do you discover which is the right and the wrong? You just look at the
trial and error.
Interesting.
Like some of it's trial and error, some of it, and that's just part of life, right? And then some of it's trial and error, but then some of it's listening to your intuition, right? Like you can avoid some of the trial and error sometimes if you just listen to that spirit inside you, telling you ahead of time, and you don't have to go through trial and error because you're warned. And it can go either way depending on the day.
Just learning.
Sometimes it's good to learn it through trial and error because then you know it from your experience.
Okay. Increase understanding. Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
That virtue. They all work together. Each virtue works perfectly together.
Yes. Yes. You can stop tapping unless you want to keep going.
That's good. It's the balance. That's interesting.
Let's talk a little bit more about how these virtues work together. I think you just hit on a really important thing. I want to talk about that more. Oh, there's like a weird thing on this.
I can't hear you. I think you just closed.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. You're awesome.
Okay.
All good.
So I have up on the screen here an image of the 13 virtues that go with the 13 seasons we talk about. I'm going to go through them in order, and I'm going to point out how so far we've done every single one of these. Fulfill yearnity is the idea that your yearnity is like you're yearning to be your state of greatest wholeness, right? It's your yearning to become your most magnificent self, right? And so you felt a yearning to take care of some things. And so you reached out to me and we initiated this meeting. And so we're acting on your yearnity, right? And the parts of you that are hurt are realizing that it doesn't fulfill their yearnity to stay hurt. And so they want to heal, right? And so you acted on your yearnity by used agency to act on your yearnity and, do the healing today, right? We did a lot of communication between us to express some ideas that would help you heal. And I communicated to you what to do. And we talked a lot about context and how this is all happens within a context. And then we created solutions together. Like I can tell it's from what you're saying, you feel better now than when we started. Is that accurate?
I do. That's interesting.
Yeah. So we created some solutions together and we've processed emotions. And we talked a lot about how that required acting with balance. And then we have the stay motivated one. And stay motivated means that You finish the process you start. And so we've started something today here, and it's going to be important for you to keep going with it after we're done, right? Like it's important. Like there'll be more work to do to continue the healing. You've increased your understanding. You understand yourself better. You've grown in empathy or understanding of parts of yourself and of your friend and things like that. You have a new paradigm through which you see many things, right?
I do.
We had to use perception to do this, right? I was perceiving who you really are. I was perceiving things that would help you. You were inside yourself, perceiving different parts of yourself and what they needed, right? And there were times where we discerned truth. You said, I feel that what you just said is true. And because you knew it was true, you had confidence to act on it. You definitely know yourself better than you did when you started, right? You've had intimate interactions with parts of yourself.
Yeah, I feel like that's fascinating. I feel like I can perceive myself better in a sense.
That's so cool.
The parts that I was like worried about myself. Just interesting.
That's really cool. I feel like we love each other more and we love ourselves more because we had this experience together. And the more you take care of your fears, then the more you'll be free to just love people, because your fear creates barriers with people, because your fears lead you to like put barriers to protect yourself from them because you're afraid of them. So the more you let go of your fear, the more you'll just love people. But it required loving yourself first to make time to do this for yourself. And as you do all this, you're not just blessing yourself, you're blessing the earth. Because as you heal, because you're a piece of the earth, Brendan, like your body is made of the earth. Like the food you eat comes from the earth. The air you breathe comes from the earth. It's in the atmosphere, right? Like when an astronaut looks at the earth, they don't see Brendan. You're too small from that viewpoint. They just see the earth, but they are looking at you because you're a part of the earth. And so when you heal yourself and all the parts that make you up, because you are the earth, you're healing the earth. And as lots and lots of people heal themselves and we help each other heal each other, that's what heals the earth. Because as we heal, like the reason why the humanity as a whole like has wars and creates pollution and hurts the animals and the plants and things, the reason all these things happen is because we all have trauma inside ourselves and we're acting out of that trauma. And so as we do experience like you and I have had together today, as lots and lots of people have these experiences together, we heal as a species, and then we treat the planet better. And so together today, we stewarded the earth, we loved everyone, we came to know ourselves, we discerned truth, we honed perception, we increased understanding, we stayed motivated, we acted with balance, we processed emotions, we created solutions, we communicated effectively, we accepted agency, we fulfilled unity. And all of these things are good, but there's a lot to them, right? Like they have each of them. When you click on antidotes on the website, there's like sub principles, right? If I click on active balance, there's all this extra stuff under it. So it's a lot of information to keep track of. And that's one of the reasons why it's good to do it in seasons, right? Like it can be a lot to track all these things at once. But if I know that it's between September 2nd and September 29th, which it is when we're recording this, then I can just focus on the active balance one and not worry about the other ones too much. Then after September 29th, I can stay motivated and I can focus with each of them in their season. And once I've done that for a full year, I'm going to have a pretty firm understanding of all of them. And then when I get back around to start the year over, I can start doing them all again. But when I do it the second year, it's easier to see the connection between them. Because when I get all the way back through the year, back around to active balance again, I'm doing active balance for the second time. The second time I do act with balance, because it's the second year through and I've gone through them all and understand them all better, it's easier for me to see how how act with balance pulls from and gives to the other ones, right? And so instead of seeing them as just a list of things, I can just gradually start to see them as like a system. It's like in a beautiful star shape.
Yeah.
They're all arranged
together
within a circle.
It's so synergetic. They just work together so beautifully. They balance each other out, and I think that's beautiful that one of them is active balance. It's
yep.
That's just that. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I love that.
It's a beautiful way to live. Okay. I feel like there's a little more healing we can do with you if you want to do a little more.
Yeah, let's do some.
Okay. I'm going to do this. So it's just the two of us. Okay. All right. The last healing we're going to do is going to be in the form of an affirmation. You're going to have your hand on your chest. Repeat after me. I am healed.
I am healed.
As I'm healing, I'm already healed.
As I'm healing, I am already healed.
I don't have to wait to finish the healing to feel whole.
I don't have to wait to finish the healing to feel whole.
I feel whole right now.
I feel whole right now.
I promise myself that I'll finish all the healing.
I promise myself that I'll finish all the healing.
And so I ask my future self
And so I ask my future self
to give me the feeling of healing right now.
to give me the feeling of healing right now.
I make a promise.
I make a promise.
Future self, I promise I'll give you a healed self.
Future self, I promise I'll give you a healed self.
Please give me the feeling of being healed.
Please give me the feeling of being healed.
And I share this with all the parts of myself.
And I share this with all the parts of myself.
Parts of myself, you're addressing them. So talk to them. So say, parts of myself.
Parts of myself.
I promise to help you heal.
I promise to help you heal.
Please give me the power to heal you.
Please give me the power to heal you.
I promise we'll work together.
I promise we'll work together.
We'll all work together.
We'll all work together.
Present self, future self, parts of self.
Present self, future self, and parts of self.
And past self.
And past self.
And all my relationships.
In all my relationships.
Through time and space.
Through time and space.
And my friend Jesus.
And my friend Jesus.
We all promise to heal me.
We all promise to heal me.
And I promise to use healed me to heal the earth.
And I promise to use healed me to heal the earth.
And everyone on the earth.
And everybody on the earth.
Amen, amen, and amen.
Amen, amen, and amen.
So be it. Take a deep breath. Breathe in that promise. Let it become who you are. See the promise going to every part of your body. And breathe out. When you breathe out, let go of every part of you that doesn't like the promise. So breathe in the promise into every part of you, like see it going to all the parts of you, and breathe out any resistance to the promise.
That was very intense and very powerful. Holy smoke.
I feel really clean. I feel like cleaned out.
Interesting. Me too, honestly. I feel very... That's interesting. That's interesting. I'm so grateful.
We're we're done with the healing for today, but can I give you some homework? Okay.
Yes, let's do it.
And do you have something to write on? So you can write these things down?
I do.
Okay. Here's your homework. You already meditate quite a bit, right? Like meditation's something you already do. Okay. When you meditate each day, as part of your meditation, I want you to make time to look for parts of yourself that still want healing. Okay. So like just kind of scan your body and be like, who wants to be healed next? And find where in your body you feel a desire for healing. Identify, just ask yourself, is this my thing or my ancestors' thing? Right? Tell if it's your trauma, your ancestors' trauma. Just recognize which it is. It might be helpful to recognize which ancestor it is. It might not matter. If it's yours, take a moment to figure out what age it happened at, like when you experienced the trauma. And then just let yourself feel it fully. And while you feel it, you can like tap. You can tap if you want to, and you could tap here, or if your intuition tells you to tap somewhere else, tap wherever your intuition tells you to tap. So if your intuition says, tap here, like wherever you feel a tap. If you don't know, then just use this spot.
Okay.
And just tap until you let go, until you feel it, until you're done feeling it. And then you can call that good, or you can ask to help another part of yourself if you feel inclined. It's up to you. And just
this is really
at least one part every day.
This has been really helpful for me. This is great advice because
Good.
I felt the changes in me while I was doing it. People could say it's baloney, but like I was like feeling it, like very powerfully. It's been helping me, So I'm gonna do that.
Good.
Thank you.
I'm excited to hear how it goes for you and how it helps. And thank you, Brendan, for the chance to work with you today. Whenever we help someone else, we always end up helping ourselves. So I have been healed and filled with light because we did this together. So thank you.
You're welcome. Josh, you're awesome.
You're awesome.
I appreciate you.
Have fun the rest of today.
Thank you.
Experience life. To let yourself just have fun experiencing whatever you're experiencing. Even if it's feelings are uncomfortable, have fun experiencing them. And just let yourself have a good day. And we'll talk again soon. And to everyone watching, enjoy your best self one season at a time.